All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Baseball for Maniacs. This is going to be a solo pod for me. I'm going to try to get into the habit of recording at least once a day for you guys. Definitely when the season starts, I'll be doing recaps on every single Phillies games. Might even do some pregame stuff. But I was thinking about something to record. I had a bunch of different little ideas, but then a report came out from John Heyman that the Phillies have interest in Bo Bichette. So I was like, what a better topic to tackle than possible big free agent signing for the Philadelphia Phillies. And then earlier today, Kazuma Akamoto signed a 4-year deal worth $60 million with the Toronto Blue Jays. Man, they are having a fantastic offseason. They really took that Game 7 loss personally, and you got to commend them for that. Like an ownership that is willing to spend, we need more of that in Major League Baseball. So Okamoto had a 1014 OPS in the NPB last year. So if you guys know me, if you watched the show, I love OPS. That's my favorite stat. That's my favorite stat to judge a hitter. So I'm going to use that for a while. Now, it only was in 69 games, so small sample size, but still 1014 OPS is legit. In 2024, he had an 863 OPS. In 2023, he had a 950 OPS. So he's primarily a third baseman, but he can play the outfield too. So when I first heard that report that Toronto was in, initially I was like, oh, Bo Bichette's not coming back. That takes another team off the market. So I post that to the TikTok, and a couple Blue Jays fans said, no, he's still a viable option in second base. And I was under the impression that Ernie Clement was going to take that position because he is much cheaper. I think he's still in his pre-arb years, which is crazy. And coming off the postseason, I just don't think the Blue Jays have unlimited money. And I still believe that. But obviously, like Blue Jays fans, you guys are more in tune to your team. So whenever I make a post about another team, if you guys want to correct me, completely do that. I love getting more knowledge on other teams. But still, me personally, I think Bo Bichette is out of the Blue Jays sweepstakes, which is good for the Phillies. It's good for any team that is interested in Bo Bichette because less teams in, it means his market comes down. I still think Bo Bichette has a high market. In the John Heyman report, I think he put the Yankees, the Cubs were still in the mix. The Dodgers are always in the mix. So it's not like his market is deteriorating, but one less team, in my opinion, is always good. Now, is he a fit for the Phillies? I think he completely is. Now, some might say, well, where's he going to play? Trey Turner's going to be the shortstop. Bo Bichette's not going to play shortstop. He even told teams he's willing to play second base. And if you can play second and short, you can play third base. So Trey Turner's just going to be the shortstop. That's not a problem. Now, if you sign Bo Bichette, where's he going to play? That's the big question. Is he going to play second base? Is he going to play third base? We guys know we have Alec Bohm at third base, our beloved Alec Bohm. We got Bryson Stott at second base. So let me kind of just play out the scenarios of if he went one way or the other. So if he goes to second base, right, people might say, oh, Bryson Stott's gone, right? Like, can't have two people the same position. I would rebuttal and say Bryson Stott can play third base. He played third base to start the 2022 season, but then Alec Bohm started playing well. Gene Segura got hurt. Bryson went to second. Then Gene got healthy. Didi got hurt. Bryson Stott went to short. When Didi was healthy, he was designated for assignment. Bryson Stott became the everyday shortstop into the postseason. Then we signed Trey Turner, let Gene walk. The rest is history. Bryson Stott's a second baseman, but he can move to third base. He can play third base. Now if Bo Bichette goes to third, Alec Bohm's gone, right? And that's the most likely scenario, in my opinion, mainly because of what Alec Bohm is set to make in arbitration. I think the estimate was 10 million, close to 11. So trading Alec Bohm, we have to get the notion out of our heads that we're going to get any sort of value for him. I think the peak for Alec Bohm is a middle reliever. Now, I thought the Phillies overhyped Alec Bohm, especially in 2024, but I am pretty surprised that his market is almost nothing. Alec Bohm is an above average major league player. He's a good hitter if he's batting sixth or seventh, and he's made tremendous improvements on the defensive side since 2022. So I think his value should be a little bit more, but you really got to, whatever the market is, the market is. You can't decide that. You just have to react to it. That's what baseball operation people do, right? Now, the main value of letting Alec Bohm go is that 10 million you freed up. So we don't know the financials of like how much John Middleton has allowed Dave Dombrowski to spend, if he's given him a set budget. But if Bo Bichette plays third and you get rid of Alec Bohm, let's say Bo Bichette's making 25 million. Alec Boehm's making 10, 25 minus 10, 15. Bo Bichette becomes a $15 million addition to the current payroll. That's good, right? Now Bryson Stott, I think, is set to make 5 or 6 million. I'm not a projections guy. I don't really know what's going to happen, but that's going to be in that range. So Bo Bichette plays third, Bryson Stott plays second, Trey Turner plays short, right? Everything works out. An interesting move they could do is if they trade Bryson Stott, Bo plays second, Alec Boehm plays third. Now, people might be saying, well, why would you do that? I'd rather keep Bryson Stott. And I agree. I think Bryson Stott is a more valuable player. One, he has an extra year of control. He's a better defender. And I think Bryson Stott at his peak can be better than Alec Boehm with the bat. But with value to your current team, like the Phillies, comes trade value. Bryson Stott, I think, has some decent trade value to where if you were to move off on Bryson Stott, you could get something back that could help the big league team in 2026, give them a chance to improve for winning a World Series. Alec Boehm plays third base on the 1-year deal. That leaves the door open for Aiden Miller. It doesn't block him in any sort of way. If Bo's at third, Bryson's at second, Aiden Miller's going to play wherever he's going to play because he is the top prospect. He is the guy. So they're going to make room for him. But I think it makes it a little easier if the only guy Aiden Miller has to beat out is Alec Boehm compared to Bryson Stott, right? Now, this is all predicated on how Aiden Miller plays to start the 2026 year. If you guys know, he struggled for a good portion of the 2025 season in Double-A, but he really turned it on towards the end of the year, and he even made his way up to Triple-A. And if you kind of look at the trends of Aiden Miller, when he gets to a new level, he struggles in the beginning, he gets adjusted, and then he just takes off. I think Aiden Miller is going to be a star. But we're just going to have to see how he does in AAA. Because if he lights AAA on fire for April and May, they're going to be knocking on the door for him to get the South Philly and help this team win a World Series. That transition's much easier if Aiden Miller is coming to replace Alec Boehm compared to Bryson Stott. Now, let's just say this, right? Let's say Aiden Miller is lighting up AAA. He needs to be on the big league team. And let's say Alec Boehm is having a resurgent year to where he's actually hitting homers. He's like an all-star. Let's just say that happens, right? I could see a world where Aiden Miller for a year or so could move to the outfield. I don't think Trey Turner's going to move to the outfield next year at all. There was rumblings about that, especially after 2024, just based on how bad his defensive metrics played out. He was a nightmare defensively as shortstop. That wasn't the case in 2025. If you look at the numbers and even you watch every game, Trey Turner was phenomenal defensively. He had a better defensive year than Francisco Lindor. So no matter what happens, I don't think Trey Turner's moving off a shortstop in 2026. But Aiden Miller, he's athletic enough. You can play shortstop. You can play outfield at the big league level. So maybe he moves to left. Maybe, yeah, left field would really be the only option because I don't want to put Aiden Miller in center or right field. You got Justin Crawford there. You got Adolis Garcia. Maybe they bring back Bader. I have no idea. That's wishful thinking, but unfortunately, I think Bader's gone. But if you stick Aiden Miller out there in left field for about a year or so, right? And then you see how he does, and then you revisit this in the 2026 offseason going into 27. You let Boehm walk, because if Boehm has a resurgent year, you're not going to re-sign him. There's just not enough money to go around. But if everyone's playing well in 2026, I think there's a world where Aiden Miller for a year plays left field. Now, if you guys remember, in 2018, Rhys Hoskins played left field. That was a freaking nightmare. It was a disaster. But sometimes that's what you have to do when you're blocked out of position. For all my Braves fans out there, don't know why you'd be watching this if you're a Braves fan, but we welcome all fans here. Austin Riley played left field for a year before he became the third baseman. I think that was 2019 when Donaldson was on that 1-year deal and he was knocking the cover off the ball. So there is a lot of different possibilities for Aiden Miller to be on the big league roster and contribute. Because here's the thing. If Aiden Miller's ready, he's going to be up in Philly. We don't know where he's going to play, but he's going to be in that lineup. Just log in here. My laptop always fizzles out. Come on. All right. Now, what would I do? So I've kind of laid all the scenarios. I love Bryson Stott. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have a great year. But if I'm looking at it logistically with all the moving parts, if you can get a really good return for Bryson Stott, I don't know what I guess maybe like a starter, maybe like a really good reliever, maybe like a top prospect, I would do that. Put Alec Bohm at third, put Bo Bichette at second base, because I do think Bo Bichette is a better second baseman than he is third base. I'm not sure how comfortable he is at third because he hasn't played third base. He was a shortstop, and then when he came back in the World Series, he played second base. Um, but I just think you can get more bang for your buck in the current 2026 season if you were to trade Bryson Stott and then sign Bo Bichette. But that would be my opinion. I wouldn't hate it either other way. If you get Bo Bichette in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform, whatever they do after that, I'm not going to be upset. All right. Let's do contract prediction. And if the Philadelphia Phillies can afford this contract, of course they can afford this contract. Major League Baseball teams make money, right? They can afford Bo Bichette. It's not about if they can, it's about if they will. Now, everyone is kind of saying, John Middleton, put your money where your mouth is. And I'm starting to get in that camp. But we do have to realize John Middleton is one of the best owners in sports. How much he spends, he's up at the top. And last year they had I think the payroll was like 308, 309. It was over the third luxury tax. So in baseball, there's not a salary cap, but there is a soft cap. So they put in these like incentives. If you go over a certain amount, there's penalties, right? First surcharge is 264 million. The second's 284. The third's 304. So the Phillies went over that last year. So basically, if you're a third-time offender, which the Phillies were in 2025, you have to pay 50% on every dollar past the first surcharge. So basically, any contract signed after 264 million, they're paying 50% on 150% on that. So basically, you sign a guy for 10 million over that, you're really paying 20 million out of the pocket. Some of you guys be like, I don't care, it's not my money. He's a billionaire. He should be able to like dish out that kind of money. And I kind of agree, but we also have to look at it logistically in the sense of, are they going to do that? Is John Middleton willing to go over that again and again and again? So I think he will, but I'm not 100% sure because here's the thing, right? They would have to get under the $304 million payroll to limit the penalties, right? They would still get penalized because they're over the second surcharge, but it wouldn't be as detrimental. The money wouldn't be as much. And even with the 50% and all the penalties you have to pay money wise, there is also penalties in the draft. Like the Phillies won't be drafting in the first round this year because they went over that for the third straight year. So it does have ramifications. But if you're in a window to compete, draft picks basically screw them, dude. But I have come up with a way to where I think they can get around that. So my prediction for Bo Bichette is 8 years, $200 million. I could be completely wrong. That's just my prediction. The market will dictate what he gets in free agency. But let's just go under the notion that he signs an 8-year, $200 million contract. That's $25 million AAV, right? So you bring him onto the team. If you go in the direction of trading Alec Bohm, you save 10 million because I think with Alec Bohm's market being so low, the main value of trading him if you acquire Bo Bichette is basically a salary dump. So I think they would go more in the direction of maybe a fringe top 10 prospect to where the person that's coming back to the team isn't contributing to anything to the 2026 payroll. So then you save 10 million. I'm under the assumption that Taijuan Walker will get traded. I think based on his 2025, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And with how much starting pitching is costing, I can't imagine like one major league team wouldn't be willing to eat half of that contract. It's 1 year, 18 million. If they eat half of it, they're paying $9 million. We're paying 9. So essentially we save $9 million. 10 plus 9 equals 19. So I just saved you $19 million right there, John Middleton. You're welcome. And then the Matt Strahm trade, we basically saved about $7 million on Matt Strahm. So that equals to $26 million if you trade Bohm. If you find a team to take on Taijuan Walker, you eat half that contract, and how much money you already saved on Strahm. That's $26 million. That's Bo Bichette right there. To where when I originally did the Matt Strahm trade reaction, everyone was like, that's all you got for him. I'm under the assumption that was a salary dump to make a future move. Because if you don't make a future move, then you're essentially just penny watching. You're trading one of the best relievers in baseball, regular season, not postseason, for nothing. I don't think that was their plan. So I do think this can potentially lead to a Bo Bichette. All the podcasts that I've done with Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette saying we need to get one of those guys, it's not just wishful thinking because the Phillies have made moves that makes you think they are trying to clear money, which they are. Now it's just, are they clearing money just to clear and get under the threshold, or are they clearing money to go get a bigger player? Now, everything John Middleton has done since the Phillies have been competitive makes me believe they are doing this to get a player like Bo Bichette. And I really hope they do that because there's a report that Alex Bregman got a contract offer from Boston, 5 years, 160. I don't know if that's accurate. With free agency, you have a lot of reports coming out. You can't really trust anyone until the actual signing happens. But if that's a real offer and that's kind of his market, I don't. I I'd be happy with it. I just don't think the Phillies would go there. And Bo Bichette will be 28 on opening day. Alex Bregman will be 32. I would much rather pay 8 years at age 28 than 5 years at age 32 for Alex Bregman, because essentially you're getting Bo Bichette's prime years. We don't know how Alex Bregman is going to age. He got injured in 2025. He missed a decent amount of the year. So maybe his trend is going on the downhill. I think Bo will have at least 4 of his elite years with the Phillies if you sign him to an 8-year deal. And then we'll deal with year 5 through 8 when that happens. Because at that point, Trey Turner's going to be at the back end of his contract. So is Bryce Harper. So is Kyle Schwarber. There's going to be a time, I think, where all these contracts catch up to the Phillies, and that's just the price you have to pay when you're doing business with these long-term deals. But if you sign Bo Bichette, you can kind of extend the window about 3 to 4 more years, in my opinion. And then JT. So if we do the thing where it's Bohm, Walker, Strom, and they bring in Bo Bichette, basically you saved $1 million right there. So you still should have enough money to re-sign JT. Me personally, I would rather let JT walk, bring in a Harrison Bader, trade a Brandon Marsh to where your outfield is Bader in center, Garcia in right, Justin Crawford in left field. I don't know how much they want to do that. I don't know what Bader's market really is, because a lot of teams that needed outfield help, like the Kansas City Royals, have already made their outfield additions. So I don't think Bader's market's where he thinks it's going to be, to where maybe the Phillies can jump in on a 2-year deal, which I think is ideal for Harrison Bader. And I think the decision would be JT or Harrison Bader. Me personally, I don't think JT is going to age well. I think he's always going to be good defensively, but JT is going to be 35 on opening day. I mean, those catching miles, they're going to catch up to him eventually. And I think this is the perfect time to get out of that right now, to where take the hit defensively this year, but add a Harrison Bader for 2 years to where he's right in that window. And then if you have a Bo Bichette as well, I mean, I think that's the formula. Now, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But the Phillies offered Yamamoto over $300 million in the 2023 offseason going into 2024. He obviously declined that and went to the Dodgers, right? The Phillies have the money. Them offering that contract means they have the money. Now, in John Middleton's mind, maybe Yamamoto was that 1 in a million player to where he'd be willing to do that. But in my opinion, if you're going to make an offer like that to Yamamoto, but not make an offer to Bo Bichette or the free agent that fits your team in the current offseason, then what are you doing? What are you signing Kyle Schwarber for if you don't expect to go all in? Re-signing Kyle Schwarber 5 years, $150 million for a DH at who he'll be 32 on opening day. I think he might be 33. I'd have to get into that. But that signals win now. Because if they don't make any more moves, I disagree with the Kyle Schwarber signing. I would rather them go with the young guys, go with Adam Miller, go with Andrew Painter, go with Justin Crawford, kind of let them get their feet wet to where they extend into the next Phillies core, get under the luxury tax, and then reset that whole market. But I don't think that's what they're doing. So I really think the moves that are coming are going to be win now moves for the 2026 season, hopefully 2027 season, depending on the lockout, 28, 29. Getting a Bo Bichette, pushing that window to where Bryce Harper's still in his prime, Trey Turner's still in his prime, Kyle Schwarber's still in his prime for the next 3 to 4 years. All these moves have to lead up to a win now, go get Bo Bichette move. But like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. Are you interested in Bo Bichette? Do you want Alex Bregman? Do you want JT? Do you want to re-sign Harrison Bader? Please let me know your thoughts, because that's what's fun about talking Phillies baseball in the offseason. We're kind of in the dead period of time where not a lot of moves are happening. We're in January. Pitchers and catchers report in about 6 weeks. So it is go time, but this is the time of the offseason where things need to start moving. They haven't done so yet, but that's why I kind of want to do this episode, especially with the report about John Heyman coming out. The Phillies are interested in Bo Bichette. I think there's going to be a lot of moving pieces in the coming weeks, definitely before February. Because, dude, if JT's still out there in February, like, what are you doing? You have to sign. You have to make a decision. Because obviously, if you're waiting that long, your market's not there. Your market is what it is. So we'll have to wait and see. But this was fun. I'll probably be back tomorrow with an episode. Oh yeah, me and Ryan are actually doing an all-time Phillies Red Sox lineup. We're gonna pick our favorite players in the sense of like best shortstop, right, or best second baseman. So I might have Chase Utley, he might have Dustin Pedroia, but there are going to be some cases to where I have a Red Sox, he's a Philly. So that's going to be fun. That'll come to you tomorrow night. But drop a comment, drop a like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about Bo Bichette potentially going to the Philadelphia Phillies. Thanks, and have a good one.